All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the 2315 Sports Show. We are on episode 16. We titled this one From Phoenix to Amen Corner. We're going to be talking about everything from the men's championship game, kind of a sore subject probably for the Kentucky fans. We're going to go through that, and then we're going to end with the Masters because it is currently going on. I was watching it just before we hopped on here. Um, so we'll get right into it. I know Ethan doesn't have any news per se. I'm going to mention one thing. I'm going to say probably the most, how should I put this? Like one of the most captivating stories of sports history. Um, OJ Simpson died.
Oh,
And did he do it? Probably, but we'll never know. Um, So that's pretty much the big news of this week that, I think he died of cancer complications, I think it said, so or, surgery
yeah.
too, so, um,
Did
interesting, interesting
yeah,
thing.
did you see he actually I don't know how accurate it is, but I saw this that it supposedly he put out on Twitter before
Mhm.
he died that he did it and
Yeah,
then deleted it.
yeah, and the
So
family
like
deleted it.
who knows if, he actually did that, but I'm pretty sure he actually,
I agree.
he's guilty.
He's guilty of something. Like, I don't know if he
Yeah.
physically did it, but I agree. He knows, and the fact of
Oh yeah.
you his family and friends had to sign an NDA to say goodbye to him. So, did he
Mm,
tell them, you know, straight up,
probably.
like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I did it"? I mean, he wrote a book right after it. So, I mean, come on. Like, I don't know. That's heck of a football player, but horrible person.
Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah. Horrible
so we
person.
we can kinda leave that there. Um, so jumping right into it, we just got over the men's and women's. I just have men's down there, but we got kind of over both men's and women's title game, NCAA title game. The women, the South Carolina Gamecocks won. Uh, Probably an easy pick. Um, the feel good story would have been Iowa, but South Carolina, they ran into a juggernaut, so they went
Yeah.
undefeated as well, which is very impressive. So, I don't know. You have any thoughts, real quick, on the women's one,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. I wanted to see Iowa win. I'm a fan of Caitlin Clark.
oh yeah,
She's really changed the league, and I think they said that the women's championship had more viewers than the men's championship,
hmm
and it's got to be because of Caitlin Clark. Like, obviously, they're all great players, but she's polarizing. She's changed the game forever. So
I agree.
it's pretty cool. But you're right. They ran into a juggernaut, and South Carolina had the size and the
Yep.
depth, and they're
Yeah.
just too much to handle. So they couldn't, they had clamps on Caitlin Clark, who took, I think, 28 shots, and second most on her team was like 12.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't. They did a good job defensively, and they deserved it for sure. So it was a good game, but not the outcome I wanted, but good game overall.
I agree. I agree. And then we get to the men's, and you had UConn and Purdue. I think we both picked Purdue or UConn. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
and they they showed up like you. It was close in the beginning. Purdue actually got out to a little run, but towards the end, they pretty much it looked like their game plan was let Edie get his, but stop the rest,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it worked. They held him to 60 points, so and beat him by 15. So um, I'm gonna chalk that one up to as much as coaching as it is the players on the court because He's probably the best
Absolutely.
coach in college basketball now, for sure.
Yep.
Um, so it was a good game, and then it UConn figured it out, or they just let Edie get his. I think Edie ended up with 37 points. So I mean, he was no
Yeah.
slouch, but everyone else just couldn't get anything going, and Edie didn't have any assists, which he usually gets. So UConn stifled him, and it was impressive. It was an impressive coaching clinic, pretty much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's what they did. Hurley said in the press conference afterwards, he was like, we didn't care if Edie took 28 shots. It was, stopping everyone else. And they did that. And the other good thing that I noticed a lot was Edie liked to go to his over his left shoulder with that
Mhm.
hook shot, or however he does that. They sat on his left hip the entire game, dared him to go to his right, and if he would
Yep.
have, he probably would have had some easy baskets.
Hmm.
But they sat there on that left hip, expecting him to do that, and Klingon, and then the backup big. Blanked on his name. He come in
Yeah.
there, and they played well in the second half. The first half, like, he was dominating, and he
Yep.
still played well in the second half, but not as good. And you could tell by midway through that second half, he started to wear down, give up a little bit, get frustrated, and he just kind of folded under pressure. So, but great performance by UConn in general.
Yeah.
Great coaching job by Dan Hurley. That man is a mastermind.
Yes. Yes. And I mean, I don't know your thoughts. Like, a lot of people, are they considered like college basketball royalty? I mean, are they a blue blood now of college basketball? Like, are they up in that
Yeah,
tier yet?
I would say they are, because not even just recent,
Hmm.
like that recency bias, but like they've been good for a long time. They had a stretch, between not Ariema, he was the girls coach. Who was their
Oh yeah,
Calhoun, or
yes, yeah.
how did I go blank on his name?
I think
Him, and then
Calhoun.
they
I
and
think.
then when he retired, they got Kevin Ollie, and he just
Yeah,
flopped. So that little bit of a break between there, they weren't so good, but I mean now they're back at it, and they were good for 20 years before then. So
yes,
I'd consider them a blue blood. I think they're up there with Kentucky, Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Michigan State, all of those teams that you see on a consistent basis. I think they're up there.
yeah. I do too. I do too. They were saying, I saw something on Twitter that they weren't putting them in because of Auburn, and I do not think of Auburn in college basketball. Like,
Mm-mm.
that's a recent thing. Like, I mean, yes, with
Oh yeah,
Barkley, but I mean, I don't consider them a blue blood. I would consider
no,
UConn more so than that. I would put UConn in before them. Um,
absolutely.
I think they belong, and if Hurley stays, uh, they might be leading the pack by the end of it. I don't know. This coach is incredible. Like,
Oh yeah,
I don't know what people don't see in him, but um, he is incredible because they lost a lot from last year's team and then still just went and dominated again. And who's to say they won't do it again
yeah,
next year? Like,
yep,
I don't know. I like him. I like the way he coaches. He's kind of that old school hard nosed coach, which is very opinionated about now because everyone thinks college players are so sensitive, and it's like the no one said anything like that. Like, the sensitive ones are going to get weeded out, and if you want to play, you're going to get yelled at. Like, that's what's going to happen. That's at the end
yeah,
of the day. There's a difference in yelling and abuse. Like, and
yep,
it is a very fine line, and people know that. Like,
yeah. Like
we're,
Bobby Knight, that's abuse.
exactly, exactly. Um, you know, we don't have coaches that do that anymore, and haven't for
No,
30 years probably now.
yeah.
So
And Hurley
um,
Hurley's a little psychotic. He's got
he is.
that crazy side to him. side to him, but man, he can fire his team up. He's a
Mhm.
good coach, got the X's and O's down, and he can, you know, he gets them to buy into
Yep.
whatever he's selling, whatever the team is that year, whatever they need. He gets them to buy into the system, and that's like it's so hard to do, and especially with talent, it's
Mhm.
really hard to do. And he's getting it done 2 years
Yeah.
in a row. So I don't, like you said, I don't know if I see him slowing down though.
I don't either. I don't either. I he gets the kids to play for the name on the jersey instead of just themselves.
Yep.
And that's but he doesn't limit themselves. Like he somehow
Right.
he has that perfect balance and it works. And
Yep.
obviously it's worked 2 years in a row. So as we know, it's very hard to go back to back. So
Yep.
hasn't been done in a very long time. Um so that's a wrap on the college basketball season, except for the random news that came out this week. Um, that you as a Kentucky fan aren't gonna. I don't know how you feel. I'm kind of glad you saved it a little bit, so we get a pure reaction from you. For those who don't know, I'll set a little background. Uh, John Calipari there. What was it? Was it last week that they said he was coming back? And then or maybe a
Yep.
couple weeks ago,
Early
whenever they
last week.
lost, maybe. Um, they said he was coming back, and then Wednesday, Thursday, we get the notification that he's leaving and going to Arkansas. So, one, that had to be a surprise. And then two,
Yeah.
then they were looking for a coach. So, your initial reaction of him leaving, what was that? Like, was that a complete shock?
It was in a way, and in a way it wasn't, because I watched the interview with him and Mitch Barnhart there, and the AD of Kentucky, and he was like, Mitch was like, "We're all in. We're bringing Cal back. We're gonna make it work, and it's fine." And then Cal was kind of like, he didn't want to be there in that interview. He hates
Mm,
Mitch. He
okay.
hates our football coach. He hates a lot of the boosters. They none of them have a good relationship, and so he was just kind of like this real his real attitude was real off, and it was I was like, well, we're back one more year. We flop,
Mm,
he's gone. So I was like, all right, let's get through one more year. So when he left though, and it was Arkansas, blew my mind,
yeah.
which I figured like Ohio State, USC, but then Arkansas's coach Musselman went to USC.
Yep.
So it and in conference really
Yeah.
caught me off guard. And to Arkansas, not that they're not a good program. They
Mhm.
can be.
Yeah.
But when have they ever been relevant?
Mhm.
Which doesn't mean he can't do that. But I think for him, the older he gets, the less pressure he wants. So if he wins,
Sure.
you're Arkansas legend. You
Yep.
lose, it's Arkansas, whatever. Like
Yeah.
not a big deal for him. So
Yeah,
well,
I was thrown off too. Like I was actually thrown off that it was him leaving. I figured the school would just let him go. Like, buy you out, see you later. We're moving on. Like, we don't have time to lose this many times. I mean, we don't have time. So, um,
yeah,
I I was surprised it was him, and then I was also surprised that he went to the SEC. Um, I actually could have seen him. I could have made him. I could have seen him make the jump to the NBA just because of all the UK players there. He'd go to a heavy team of UK players, which I don't know where that is right now, but um, I could have seen him do that or one of the expansion teams if they get
yeah,
that together soon. So I was very surprised it was on him. So I was just as shocked as not being a fan as probably being a fan of them. Like I think it might not have been shock he left, but it was shock where he went. Um,
Yeah.
and then I go to see his interview, and they have one guy on the team. I'm like, there's no team there. Like what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, so
Well, and he
that's
thinks he's
crazy.
going to bring every recruit with him. He thinks he's going to take every player that's on the team with him. But like the players he may bring with him from Kentucky, maybe like Big Z, maybe Onienso, maybe.
Yeah,
But like Trey Mitchell's already gone to the pros. Reeves has gone pros. Dillingham, Justin Edwards. He's he may get DJ Wagner, but I don't know. I think he wants to stay at Kentucky. Reed Shepard's coming back to
yeah.
Kentucky.
He ain't going nowhere.
Aaron Bradshaw may follow him, but I know we talked about earlier he may be going to North Carolina.
Hmm.
Um, but then as in recruits, like we don't have a ton of recruits. This is the year for us to lose our recruits because like
You didn't
Jaden
have him.
Quaintance, he's a 2-year player. He's opened his recruitment back up, but he likes Mark Pope. He may be coming back. And like Billy Richmond, he's probably going to leave. Carter Knox is probably going to leave, and that's okay. They're all 4 stars. Not
Yeah,
that saying 4-star players aren't good, but if this is the year to lose recruits,
do
this
it.
is the year to lose recruits.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. And you kind of mentioned his name. It's Mark Pope. Is that correct?
Yeah, Mark Pope.
Okay, so he was introduced as the head coach, and I'll get your reaction from it. I felt this was really fast. Like
Oh yeah,
it almost felt like a panic hire in a way. And there was no reason to panic. I mean, you're Kentucky. You like me and you talked about recruits are going to come or they're not. Like
yep,
it doesn't matter. Like no, it doesn't matter who the coach is more than half the time. It's the name on the front of that jersey. And with some of these schools, Kentucky, Duke, Carolina, UConn for that matter, it chances are it doesn't matter who the coach is. They're high profile teams, but this one felt like a panic, but it may have won fans over because if I'm not mistaken, he played there, correct?
yep. Won a championship with the '98 team.
Okay. So it might be a little, it might be good. Can he recruit? I don't know because he's at BYU. Well, BYU, you're controlled into a kind of
Yeah,
religious background of who you get. So, but
and
again,
no
a player
money.
who's, well, that, and a player who's played there, probably unlimited amount of money that he wants.
Right.
Um, and again, the name on the front of the jersey sells. It doesn't matter. So what do you think? Do you like? I mean, I'm sure you wanted some of the other guys. Hurley, of course, he was out.
Yeah.
That was a long shot. Um, Jay Wright, I would have thrown the Brinks truck at him, like, and
Yeah.
see what happens. Maybe they did. Um, the one I'll kind of say my piece on it. The one I thought they should have maybe waited out for, because I feel this Mark Pope would have been there at the end anyway. He was one call away. In other words, like
Yeah.
he was going to be there no matter what. Um, I really think they should have waited probably, I don't know, another month, I think, because the Bulls will be out of the playoffs by then, if I had to guess. And I really think they should have tried Billy Donovan. I think Billy Donovan would have been an intriguing hire there. He he knows the game very well. Um and I'd really like to see him in the college game of the new age college game of pretty much free agency at a big program
Yep.
because he's not a horrible pro coach. I mean the Bulls are just bad just from mistakes and GM stuff, but I mean he was at Florida who won like crazy and he could recruit there obviously. So give him unlimited money. He can coach basketball. He's younger. He knows the game and the pros that can translate. I would have liked. I would have hated to have seen him there to have to play him, but it would have been intriguing to me for him. But what do you think? Do you like the guy they brought in?
Yeah, so kind of just looking back real quick, two days ago, when the night they were like, okay, Scott Drew from Baylor is going to be the guy more than likely,
Mhm.
but he's going to go home, pray on it, whatever. Like that hire, I wasn't crazy about. Like I like him as a coach. He's a good X's and O's guy, but
Mhm.
recruiting, I just wasn't sure how he would line up. And I was like, but then the more I looked at it, I was like, okay, he'll be just fine. And then I wake up the next morning and he's not coming. He's staying at Baylor. So then there were like reports. They This is how crazy Kentucky fans are. They're tracking
Mhm.
flights
Mhm.
and watching where their plane's going, the crafts. And so they went up to New York, and I'm like, okay, Dan Hurley, they're all in on him. They offered him $12 million a year over 8 years.
Damn.
And yeah, and he turned it down. And they were like 0% chance he's coming here. You could have offered him 20 million a year and he
Yeah.
would have turned it down. So it wasn't a money thing for him. It was, I like it here in
Loyalty.
Connecticut. I want to stay. So
Yep.
that's fine.
Yeah.
And so Billy Donovan would have been my next call. You wait, they're in the play in right now. So
Mhm.
their season could be over as early as like Monday or Tuesday next week. Wednesday, whatever it is. Wait an
Mhm.
extra week to talk to him. And from what I've read, he was already calling people, trying to line up a staff just in case.
Yeah. Mhm.
I but I do think they went too early on Pope, but I do like the hire.
Okay.
I was just trying to I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning and I saw that they were like about to hire Mark Pope, or they did hire Mark Pope, and I was like, okay, like initial reaction was I was shocked. Like, why get a guy that doesn't seem qualified for the job?
Mhm.
But the more I read, the more I looked into his time at BYU, I was like, okay, Ken Palm rankings are like huge in college, but I don't really understand it. But he had a better ranking in 3 of 5 years than Cal did at Kentucky the last 5 years. And so I was
Okay.
like, okay, that's one thing. Not really great recruits, but he's producing better than Cal is at Kentucky. So I know it's stiffer competition, but like he
Yeah.
went into Kansas and won this past year. He beat Baylor. Like
Yep.
he beat Louisville, which isn't saying much,
No.
but beat some high caliber programs. And thinking about it, I'm like, this guy is one who can get players to buy into the Kentucky program. We're playing for Kentucky. We're not
Mhm.
playing for Antonio Reeves. We're not playing for Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepard, Aaron Bradshaw, whatever. We're playing for Kentucky. We're
Mhm.
buying in. And this guy can spark some fire. He's a great offensive coach, a good defensive coach. The recruiting is going to be the thing. But apparently he's got all the boosters' support. So they've already said, I think, like, I can't remember how much it is, but it's like $5 or $6 million in NIL, like, have already come in for him. So
Okay.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
really good.
Good sign.
And the best thing is he played with Jeff Shepard. Jeff
Mm.
Shepard was his roommate, and he's still one of his best friends. He's already contacted him and Reed about coming back. So
Okay.
if I had to guess, 75% Reed comes back for year two. And then
Oh,
after
yeah.
he comes back, I think DJ Wagner comes back. I think one of the bigs comes back. And then Adu Thiero comes back. And then we're rolling. And then we're
Okay.
bringing recruits in from BYU. We're bringing players in from BYU as well. We're going to come in and Sweet 16 probably is our ceiling this year.
That's the ceiling. Okay.
But it's better than what we had with Cal. So I
That's
love
true.
Cal. I love what he did for the program, but it's time for a change.
Sure.
We need results. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited about it. It took me a minute to get excited because I was like, this is a blah hire. But like now I'm like, okay, I'm good with it. Like you do your research, you look in. I'm probably about with every other fan in Kentucky who's like, this is a terrible hire, or we
Mhm.
could have got him in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Why not interview Bruce Pearl, Shaka Smart, Sean Miller, like anybody in the world other than Mark Pope? But Mitch liked him, and Mitch knew that he would buy into the Kentucky way and you know do whatever it takes to bring a championship to BBN. So I'm all in.
Well, that's kinda what I wonder if so, with all those other names, it might be about themselves
Yeah,
as a coach. This guy went to Kentucky. He played for Kentucky. He won a championship for Kentucky. So it's gonna be about Kentucky, and he's gonna like
absolutely.
whatever coaches are there in other sports. He's gonna love whatever boosters are there because he probably was one at one time before he probably got out of coaching or whatever. He probably supports them somewhere, and it's gonna be about Kentucky. And with Cal, I don't think it was. Um, and Cal to me was a recruiter. He's not a
Oh, yeah.
coach.
No.
This guy's a coach, so that's what you need in today's game because money talks. So anybody's a good recruiter now. It's all about the X's and O's, and this guy
Yep.
seems to have it, like you said. I did ask. I reached out to the new dad, Corey, who's been on our show. I said, give me a quote here that I can use. So actually, I can use that guy, that NFL guy. I texted Corey this today, and let me tell you what he said. Um, he said, if the donors are happy with it, it can work. Pretty sure he can coach, but the name Mark Pope isn't getting players lining up. Hopefully, the money will be there for the players. So he's kind of on your wagon of, he's here, deal with it type thing, I think. Um, and he's like he's not a huge name, but if that money's there, it's not going to matter. It's what's on
Yeah.
the jersey and the prolific program that's there at Kentucky. So
Yeah.
it was interesting. I can
Yeah.
I can say that.
And my favorite thing is because the more I think about it, Mark's a guy like just Kentucky bred, through and
Mm,
through. Huge blue blood guy. So got the connections. He loves Kentucky.
yep.
Cal may have loved Kentucky, but he didn't. Yeah, he loved the money. He had a little
Mhm.
bit of an arrogance to him.
Sure.
Mark Pope wants to win for Kentucky.
Mhm.
And the best part about it is when Cal rolls into Lexington next year, Mark Pope's going to do everything he can to beat him. And he's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
love it. And he's going to have the fans fired up and the team fired up. And when Louisville comes into town, the same thing. We
Mhm.
beat our rivals.
Yep.
I don't, you know, I want to win. I want to win championships. I know next year is probably not realistic to win a championship. It may be. I
Yep.
would be okay if we beat Cal, if we beat Louisville, and that's it. I'd be
Yeah.
like, all right. That's
That's fine.
terrible to say as a fan, win 2 games all year. But
Hey.
those 2 games are priority 1 and 2 for me behind the
Okay.
championship. So 2 and 3.
So as a fan, if you went to that Arkansas game, are you booing Cal or does he get a standing ovation?
He gets a no.
Yeah. I agree. Like he did bring success there. Like and
Yeah.
they were probably one of the most sought after schools for the time he was there. Not towards the end,
Yeah.
more maybe not, but
Yeah.
um,
He can
in the
he can get a
beginning,
stand a no, and then
and then
game time, you're
beat the
getting booed.
doors off of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, I like that. I again kind of to summarize. Both think it was a quick hire, but it seems like a decent hire for the school. Maybe not so much players and big recruit names and things like that, but it's a good hire for the school, and I think he's going to have success. I think people might be eating their words a little bit, um, kind of middle of the next, you know, January ish, February,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. So it was surprising, that's for sure. Um, so switching gears, like we said, we're going from Phoenix to Amen Corner. We kind of stopped in Lexington there for a brief overnighter. So now we're at the home stretch. We're at Amen Corner here, and I don't. I doubt all the rounds are done yet. No, they still got one more hole. It looks like, but um, so I got the leaderboard pulled up for. I think it's probably the greatest tournament in the PGA Tour.
Absolutely.
Um, I mean, there's some big ones, but this one's always a staple. And that green jacket is like probably it's like nothing else. So um I get excited for this one. This is one that me and my dad always watched. It's probably the only one he watches all year. Um but it's just one like you sit there and watch it just cuz
Yeah.
it's a beautiful scenery and it's the best golfers in the world. Like always, but in a little they seem a little more serious at this one. So um we're not a huge golf channel, but here for a while, that's about all that's going to be that in baseball. So, going to start getting
It's
into it
all
a little
right.
bit.
That's right.
Um, it looks like, I mean, some of the big names you got Max Home, I think his first name's Max. It's Homa and DeChambeau are tied for first with Scheffler, which Scheffler, I think, is
Just
on
got
18 right now, or he just got done.
Yep, just finished up.
Okay. So, and he's still at 6 under, correct? Yeah, they're all 6 under for the lead. The cut line was 5 or plus 5. Um, I'm pretty sure that stayed. So names that got in,
Yeah.
kind of down the list. We got Fleetwood. You got Reed, Patrick Reed. Let's see, Shoffley got in. Tiger Woods got in
Let's
at one
go.
over. So at one over and 6 under, that's in 2 days. That's possible if it stays. I mean, he could,
Yep.
if his back holds up, he could make some noise. Brooks
Yeah.
Koepka's in.
Yep.
Um,
Ricky Fowler. The cut moved to six
oh, so
over.
he made
So
it.
yeah, so Fowler is at 6 over.
Nice. Okay, because he missed it by one when we were watching. So there it is. Yeah, Matsuyama's at 6. So some of the big names.
McElroy,
McElroy.
Mickelson.
I didn't even see McElroy in here. I hope he's
Yeah,
still. Yeah,
he's at
McElroy's at
4.
4 still. Mickelson's at 4. So big names both from the LIV and PGA. Um, so it's a good one. I enjoy it.
Oh,
I like that all the main golfers are in it
yeah.
because that makes it a little better. So
That's what when I was looking at it before it even started, I was, you know, I didn't think he would probably win, but I wanted Tiger to win just because it's Tiger. Like
mhm,
the comeback is I know you're not a huge Tiger guy,
mm,
but I was like, it's a guy I grew up watching,
mhm,
and so, you know, for a long time everybody wanted to be Tiger Woods basically. So I was like, get him, be a good comeback again, get him
mhm.
in here. But in all reality, I figured, Scheffler would probably win. So
Yeah, I'm betting I'm betting him. If I were a betting person, it's probably him just because he's having a really good year. He's number one. Um, although I wouldn't disregard DeChambeau either because I mean he's on LIV, but he came into this thing cooking the first yesterday and today. So
yeah,
and in really bad. I mean it's windy as all get out there, and I mean even putts they gotta like figure out the wind on a putt. So
yeah,
it's
he's
howling there.
he's won over today. So that's the
Yeah.
crazy thing. You look at you know even the top 30,
Hmm.
the worst player in the top 30. shot 5 over today, and the best player shot 3 under, and that was Ludwig Aberg.
Yes, I see that.
And I don't even know who that is.
I don't
But
either. Couldn't tell you. Could not tell you. But
so I can tell the conditions
yeah, it's insane.
are
And
wild today.
just the course itself is hard.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, it's not an easy course, obviously. Um, little interesting fact that I read on Twitter. So the gift shop for the Masters, which the Masters do not sell anything online. So whoever's getting the stuff online, I mean, I don't want to say it's fake, but it is fake. It's not from
Yeah.
Augusta National. So Augusta National, they are projected to make $70 million off the merchandise. If you break that down, so I guess they're open for 7 days because they said it's 10 million a day. It's I gotta find this. I have it on my Twitter X whatever. Um, so it is 10 million a day. It's $1 million an hour that they're open. It's $16,000 a minute, and it's $277 per second that the store is open that they're making. That is insane amount of money.
Yeah.
Providing
Well,
you got to go too.
a lot of that stuff, like I watched a TikTok of the guy. He was like, get ready with me to go to the Masters,
Mm-hmm.
and like his plane ticket was like 50 from Canada. It was like 1,500-1,600 bucks round
Mm-hmm.
trip, and then he was like the tickets to go to the Masters like $2,500 each day.
A day.
And then he was like, I brought $500 to spend at the pro shop. He's like, probably gonna get me a couple things,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's just insane to me. Like I seen where like a golf ball with just like the Masters on one side and Augusta on the other was like going for like 75 bucks or something like that. Just
Oh yeah.
insane amount of money
Yep.
for, stuff with a little, patch on it or whatever it
Yeah.
is. And I mean, it is like the golf tournament. It's
Yes.
so I understand it, but at the same time, it's not for me. I'm broke.
No. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'd never want to go. I don't want to go the whole weekend because
Mm-mm.
at 2,500 a pop, that's a chunk of change. But um, I would love to go. Dad's always wanted to go. Like it'd be fun to go to, but my luck if we go, it's gonna rain and it's gonna be atrocious. It's gonna be 40. So
Yeah.
um, but it is
Maybe,
one of a kind. One of a kind.
yeah. Maybe one day, the 23XV Sports Show can
Mm.
sponsor us a trip there. So it would
We better be
be pretty
doing pretty
cool.
damn good.
So y'all better be hitting that follow button,
I'm about to
sharing
say
this,
if
get
we do
us
that,
get us going.
neither one of us are working anymore. So I mean, we're just that'd be insane. So
Yeah.
with that being said, why don't you just uh hit them with that outro?
All right, sounds good. Well, we just want to thank everybody for tuning in, however and wherever you may be listening. If you like the content you're receiving, hit the follow button, like, subscribe, YouTube, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Pod. See you next week. Peace.